Hello everyone and welcome back to another day in December and another magic card under my Christmas tree. Which gift should we go with on this video? How about this one? Oh, would you look at that? It's Omnath, Locus of Rage. Now, last time I saw you in World Wake, you seemed pretty chill. You went from what I thought at the time to be an insane mana dork to this red-green landfall king, albeit a lot harder to cast. But I want to know, were you always this angry? Regardless, I'm sure you'd have a pretty interesting story to tell. Omnath, to the denizens of Zendikar, had been for generations nothing more than a myth. Ancient tales spun through taverns and drunken fools who believed they'd witnessed this creature's power firsthand. But in truth, no one's seen this elemental for hundreds of years, or have at least lived through the encounter. Those who treated this myth as fact referred to Omnath as the Flickering Heart, an accurate depiction as the elemental was known for its bursts of rage and bouts of quiet isolation. Elementals on Zendikar have always served a strange purpose. They moved with the will of the land, acting out against those who would harm the plane. But Omnath was something different. Its power alone trumped even the greatest elementals ever known. This is because Omnath was more than a simple elemental, strung together by tethered mana to natural debris. It was in fact the divine manifestation of all the chaotic mana on Zendikar. As you could imagine, a being comprised of the chaotic forces of a world rich in mana was certainly something to be feared, or at least given a wide berth. This creature, like all elementals on Zendikar, served the land as its first line of defense against threats. But, unlike the world we know today, far in Zendikar's past lived a fairly peaceful plane, free of Eldrazi. It was during this downtime that many elementals, including Omnath, began fading to myth. There was no need for its massive destructive power, so Zendikar basically put it in hibernation. Over the centuries, the myth of Omnath grew and its resting place was discovered. Upon the scattered floating islands of Ondu, on a high resting mesa, there exists a deep pit now dubbed the Prison of Omnath. This mysterious area first brought those curious in its construction, but soon brought fear, as those who investigated the chasm never returned. The pit was safeguarded by a binding circle, completely surrounding the swampy base of the mesa. The circle used powerful, ancient magic, along with thousands of candles, stone hedrons, and animal bones to bind whatever was inside. With this power contained, the people of Zendikar were free to conjure up images and purposes for Omnath, each civilization coming up with their own incorrect interpretation of the elemental. Though bound to its home, Omnath was still dangerous. Those who entered the mesa reported strange feelings and sensations as they approached the pit. None dared to go much further, but those brazen enough often found themselves faced with surges of mana which could kill them. As centuries passed, a religious group formed around Omnath. Rather than worshipping its power, they focused on keeping the elemental imprisoned. These pilgrims traveled to this site twice yearly to perform the Ritual of Lights, a practice they hoped would keep the elemental bound. This group feared more so than any that should Omnath be released, it would rain down destruction greater than any had seen before. But this was all before the arrival of the Eldrazi. As the colorless titans raged from their own prisons deep beneath the mountains of Akum, Zendikar itself roiled in pain. As a first response to this foreign threat, the plane unleashed its powerful elementals to act as its immune system of sorts. It's not clear if its bonds were broken due to the disruption of the Ritual of Light ceremony, or if it was never truly bound and just awoke to the threat of the Eldrazi. Either way, Omnath was now free. Just as its nickname suggests, Omnath is the Flickering Heart of Zendikar. Not only is it the manifestation of the plane's life force, literally being a symbol for the world's heart, it also beats, sometimes fluttering or flickering. As it was first released, Omnath was comprised of mainly green mana, growing stronger the more mana available to it. Although it was still extremely powerful and destructive, Omnath was relatively quiet. That was until the Eldrazi began truly sucking the world of its essence, its mana. As Zendikar was being fed upon, and only the Titan Ulamog remained, Omnath, like a flickering heart, changed. With the sapping of green mana from the Eldrazi, Omnath began incorporating red mana, giving it more passion and fervor in combat. Now known as the Locus of Rage, this towering elemental is the living essence of the land, acting out the primal will of Zendikar.
Wow, is it just me, or does Omnath here look like everybody's favorite holiday treat, the fruitcake? I think for that reason, and that reason alone, he deserves a spot on our Christmas tree.
Thanks, David, for placing Omnath so delicately on the tree. Even though it's fake, maybe it'll produce enough mana to make me an army of exploding elementals. Either way, guys, I want to know what you think about this card. Which do you prefer more? Omnath Locus of Mana or Locus of Rage? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to also remind you all to stay tuned tomorrow as we go over another angel who's been through some, well, changes over the years. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, Simon here, just letting you know if you liked the video, you can support future content by liking it and sharing it with your friends. You can also support this channel by visiting my sponsors over at abugames.com. abugames.com is a leading online store for all things MTG, and without them, this series wouldn't be possible. You may even consider following me on social media or becoming a patron on Patreon. Through those means, you can stay up to date with the channel along with gaining access to special events and giveaways. You can find those links in the description below. Regardless, I wish you all a happy and safe holiday season.